Hello.
Hello.
How we doing?
I'm good.
Your hair looks fabulous.
I just watched it.
I love it.
It's still wet.
Okay,
Anyways,
I'm so ready for this.
yes, another read along.
Okay, we left off at Eva, the POV, where she fell asleep on the couch in Alex's house. And I'm so excited for this next part.
Well,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes! Let's go. Okay. Chapter 9, Alex's POV. I love that this book has two POVs. I can't. Okay. I silently cursed Josh as I carried Ava upstairs. That asshole always put me in situations I didn't want to be in. Case in point, sleeping in the same room as his sister. Okay, sorry. I'm sure he would be even less happy about it than I was, but I hadn't set up the guest room. I never had guests, not if I could help it. And it was pouring outside, so I couldn't bring her home without both of us getting drenched. I could have left her on the couch, but she would have been damn uncomfortable. Oh, it's so cute that he. Oh! Okay. I kicked open the door to my room and set her on the bed. She didn't stir. My eyes lingered on her form, noticing details I had no business noticing. Her dark hair fanned out beneath her like a blanket of black silk, long enough for me to wrap my fists around. And her skirt rode up, bearing an inch more thigh than modest. Her skin looked smoother than silk, and I had to clench my hands to refrain from touching her. My mind flashed back to earlier in the night. Her skin had turned the prettiest shade of red when I made my dripping comment, and while I joked about her bleeding hard, a part of me, a very large part, had wanted to bend her over my knee, yank up her skirt, and found out just how wet she was. I am unwell.
I noticed.
Because I'd seen the lust in those big brown eyes. She'd been turned on. And if she hadn't moved away when she did, oh dear boy, I tore my gaze away, my jaw clenching at an unwelcome thoughts crowding my brain. I shouldn't have been thinking about my best friend's sister this way, but something had shifted. I wasn't sure when or how, but I'd started seeing Ava less as Josh's baby sister and more as a woman. A beautiful, pure hearted, but feisty woman who might be the death of me one of these days. Oh, I love it. I never should have invited her in earlier. I should have gone on my date with Madeline like I'd planned, but truth be told, I couldn't stand Madeline's company outside the bedroom. She was gorgeous, rich, sophisticated, and understood she'd get nothing more than a physical relationship out of me, but she insisted on being wined and dined before each of her sex sessions. That sounds so. Okay, I only obliged because the woman effed like a porn star. Damn. Okay. Woo. A night in with Ava, as bad of an idea as it had turned out to be, had sounded far more appealing than another tiresome meal at a generic fancy restaurant where Madeline preened and pretended we were a couple in front of DC's movers and shakers. She didn't expect any strings from her arrangement, but she liked status symbols, and I, as one of the richest, most eligible bachelors in the DMV area, according to Maud DeVie's latest power issue, was a status symbol. I didn't care. I used her, she used me. We got orgasms out of it. It was a mutual.
Mutually.
I am unwell because of this chapter, guys. It was a
Breathe, breathe. Mutually.
mutually. Mutually. I can't. Mutually.
I'll say it.
Thank you. It was
Mutually.
beneficial relationship, but my arrangement with Madeline had run its course. Her less than pleased reaction when I called to tell her I couldn't make it tonight had cemented my decision. Madeline had no claim over me, and if she thought a few diners and blowjobs would change my mind, she was sorely mistaken. I lifted Ava so I could tuck her beneath the covers. I'd expected her to sleep with a dreamy smile like the one she always wore when she was awake. Instead, her brows were drawn, her mouth tight, her breathing shallow. I almost smoothed a hand over her brow before I caught myself. Instead, I changed into a pair of black sweats, flicked off the light, and climbed into the other side of the bed. Why do guys always sleep with sweats?
I don't know.
It's so
too
hot.
Yes.
Why? I'm
No
confused.
idea.
Okay. Let's see. A gentleman would sleep on the couch or the floor, but of all the insults people had thrown my way over the years, gentleman wasn't one of them.
Insult.
Yeah, exactly. How is that an insult, sir? Excuse me. I laced my hands behind my head, trying to ignore the soft female presence beside me. Sleep wasn't forthcoming, per usual, but instead of flipping to a specific day in my mental scrapbook, I let my mind wander as it pleased. November 27, 2013. Trust me, dude. My dad will be thrilled he has someone to talk football with. Josh hopped out of the car. Me being an NBA instead of an NFL guy is his biggest disappointment. I smirked, following him up the driveway toward his family's imposing brick house in the Maryland suburbs. It wasn't as large as my mansion on the outskirts of Philadelphia, where I lived with my uncle, but it must have cost at least $1 million or two. Thick hedges lined the stone path leading up to the massive mahogany front door. Jesus. And a fall-themed wreath of flowers accented. I'm not okay today. With a silky bow hung over the brass door knocker. My sister's doing, most likely, Josh said, noticing my gaze. My dad hates all that S, but Ava loves it. Can we say shit?
Yeah.
Loves all that shit. I knew little about his sister other than that she was a few years younger than us, and she liked photography. Josh had bought her a second-hand DSLR camera from eBay for Christmas because she kept dropping hints about it whenever they spoke on the phone. I met Josh's father first. He sat in the living room watching the Cowboys versus Lions game like Josh had predicted. Michael was shorter than his son, but his chiseled face and sharp eyes made him appear taller than his 5'8". That guy is as tall as I am. That's not tall. Jesus. Okay. Nice to meet you, sir. I held his gaze, unflinching, when I shook his head. When he shook his head.
Head.
It says head, right? I'm not crazy. It says head. Okay.
It says head.
Hello, sir.
I think it has to be hand.
I'm sure it should be. I've never met anyone who shook each other's head when meeting. When I shook his hand, let's correct it, Michael grunted in response. Josh was a third-generation Chinese American, which meant his father had been born in the U.S. Michael had been the model son, a straight-A student who had attended top-tier schools and founded a successful company despite the fact that his own parents never finished high school. Similar to my father, except mine had been born in Ukraine and immigrated to the U.S. in his teens. My chest tightened. When Josh found out I had no family to celebrate Thanksgiving with other than my uncle, who couldn't care less about the holiday, he invited me to celebrate with the chance. I was both grateful and somewhat irritated. I hated being the object of anyone's pity. Josh, have you... Oh, the female voice behind me halted. I turned, my cool gaze assessing the petite brunette in front of me. She wasn't actually that short. Probably 5'5", but compared to my 6'3", she was miniature-sized. With her rosebud lips and delicate face, she resembled a doll. She beamed, and I fought a grimace. It wasn't normal for smiles to be that bright. Hi, I'm Ava, Josh's sister. You must be Alex. She held out her hand. I stared at it long enough that her smile faded, replaced with an uncomfortable expression, and Josh notched me in the ribs. Dude, he coughed out the side of his mouth. I finally shook her hand. It was tiny and delicate, and I couldn't help thinking how easy it would be to crush it. This girl and her sunshiny smile wouldn't last a day in the real world. world where monsters lurked around every corner and people hid their dark intentions behind masks. I was sure of it. A scream yanked me out of my memories and into real life again, where the shadows grew long and the body next to mine writhed with distress. Stop! Stark terror drenched Ava's voice. No! Help! Sorry. That was pathetic. Okay. 5 seconds later. 5 seconds later, I turned on the bedside lamp and was out of bed, gun in hand. What? Whoa. Okay. That's a little overdramatic, sir. I always kept the firearm by my side, and I'd installed a new top-of-the-line security system right after I moved in. I didn't know how an intruder got past all the defenses without triggering an alarm, but they picked the wrong house to break into. When I looked around, though, I didn't see anyone else in the room. Please stop! Ava twisted on the bed, her face pale. Her eyes were wide open but unseeing. She choked like she couldn't get enough air in her lungs. Nightmare. My shoulders relaxed before tensing again. She wasn't having a nightmare. She was having night terrors. Powerful ones, if her reaction was anything to go by. Ava screamed again and my heart tripped. I almost wished there were an intruder so I had something physical to fight. I couldn't wake or restrain her. That was the worst thing you could do when someone had night terrors. All I could do was wait for the episode to pass. I left the bedside lamp on and kept an eye on her in case she hurt herself with all the trashing. I hated feeling helpless, but I knew better than anyone that no one can fight our mental battles for us. Half an hour later, Ava's scream had quietened, but I continued my vigil. It wasn't like I could sleep. My insomnia meant I only slept 2 or 3 hours a night, though I often crashed for naps in the middle of the day when I could. I opened my laptop and was reviewing new business documents when my phone pinged. Josh. Yo, I'm bored. Guess I wasn't the only person who couldn't sleep tonight. Me. What do you want me to do about it? Josh. Entertain me. Me. F you. I'm not your circus monkey. Josh. I woke up my roommate. I snorted out so loud. You should dress up as circus monkey for Halloween. Me. Only if you dress up as an ass. Sorry, I mean donkey. Me. You're already an ass. Josh. What a comedian. Don't quit your day job. Josh. P.S. You think I won't, do you? I'll do it just so I can blackmail you with the monkey pics. Me. You don't tell someone you want to blackmail them before getting the blackmail material, dumbass. As Josh and I joked and gave each other shit, I glanced to my side where Ava slept with her face buried in one of my pillows. A trickle of something that might have been guilt wormed its way into my stomach, which was ridiculous. It wasn't like we'd messed around. Besides, sleeping in the same bed as my best friend's sister wasn't the worst thing I'd ever done, or would do. Not by a long shot. Ooh, we love the tea! You go.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
Chapter 10, Ava. Something smelled delicious, like spice and heat. I wanted to wrap it around me like a blanket. I snuggled closer to the source, enjoying the strong, solid warmth beneath my cheek. I didn't want to wake up, but I'd promised Bridget I would volunteer at a local pet shelter with her this morning before my afternoon shift at the gallery. I allowed myself 1 more minute of coziness. Had my bed always been this big and soft before I opened my eyes and yawned? Weird, my room looked different. No photograph prints papering the wall, no vase of sunflowers by the bed. And did my bed just move by itself? My eyes latched on the broad expanse of bare skin beneath me, and my stomach dropped. I looked up straight into a pair of familiar green eyes that stared back at me with no hint of the humor from last night. He flicked his gaze down. I followed and realized to my abject horror that I was touching Alex Volkov's.
Oh my
word
god!
again. What was the word again that we used?
Eggplant!
No, we did.
Carrot!
Carrot. That's it.
What was the other one? Carrot and...
Plum.
Oh no!
That I was touching Alex Volkov's carrot unintentionally, and he had on sweats, but still. I was touching Alex Volkov's carrot, and it was hot.
Oh god!
Mortification washed over me in a tidal wave. Move your hand, move it now, my brain screamed, and I wanted to. I really did, but I stayed frozen, paralyzed by shock and humiliation, and something else I would rather not name. A brief image flashed through my mind of what Alex must be packing beneath his pants. I had a feeling, pun intended, it would rival that of any male corn star.
Oh my.
Please remove your hand from my carrot unless you plan on doing something with it, Alex said coolly. I finally yanked my hand away and scrambled back, my heart beating a wild rhythm in my chest as I tried to get my bearings. What happened? Why am I here? Did you and I gestured between us, sick with anticipation. Oh God, Josh would kill me, and I couldn't even blame him. I'd slept with my brother's best friend. Shit. Relax. Alex rolled out of bed, lithe and graceful as a panther. Sunlight streamed through the windows and illuminated his sculpted frame, casting his perfectly carved chest and abs in a pale glow. You fell
Oh.
asleep during that dog movie, and it was raining, so I brought you up here. The end. So we did. F no. Oh, thank God. I pressed a hand to my forehead, relieve a cool balm to the heat of my cheeks. That would have been awful. I'll try not to take offense to that, Alex said dryly. You know what I mean. Josh would have murdered us, brought us back to clean up the mess, then murdered us again. Not that I want to sleep with you either way, liar, an annoying voice in my head whispered. I shoved it aside. You're not my type. Alex's eyes narrowed. No? Then who, pray tell, is your type? It was too early for this. I scrambled to think for a safe answer. Ian Somerhalder? He
Good
let out
choice.
a derisive. Jesus, what kind of word is that? Derisive,
The fuck is a
derisive?
derivative snort?
I don't know.
I'm trying to imagine what it is.
Just blew your nose.
Yeah, that's a snort, right?
Usually, a snort they mean like
That's the
that.
same thing, just backwards.
Yeah, backwards. Better than the sparkly vampire, he muttered. Newsflash, sunshine. You and Ian aren't happening. I rolled my eyes and got out of bed, flinching when I saw my reflection in the mirror. Wrinkled dress, tangled hair, pillow creases on my cheek, and was that a line of crusted drool on the side of my lips? Yeah, I wouldn't win a beauty contest anytime soon. Thanks, Captain Obvious, I said, discreetly wiping the drool from my face while Alex pulled a t-shirt over his head. His bedroom was as sparse as the living room, with nothing except his massive bed, a nightstand with a lamp and alarm clock, and a dresser decorating the space. Don't get your panties in a twist. I'm not your type either, remember? Or maybe I am? I raised my eyebrows at the obvious tent in his pants. He wanted to be a jerk again? Two could play this game. Don't read too much into it. It's Morningwood. Every guy gets it. Alex ran a hand through his hair, which of course was still perfect after a night's sleep. And my panties are not in a twist. If you say so, I sang. Also, stop calling me Sunshine. Why? Because it's not my name? I'm aware. It's a nickname. I released an exasperated breath. We don't know each other well enough for nicknames. We've known each other for 8 years. Yes, but we don't have that type of relationship. Plus, I'm sure you're mocking me, bleeding heart and all. Alex raised an eyebrow. Enlighten me. What type of relationship do we have? We were thread we were treading dangerous ground. We're neighbors, friendly acquaintances. I racked my brain for more because those terms didn't seem right. Movie buddies? He closed the distance between us and I gulped, holding my ground even though I wanted to run. You always sleep in the same bed as your acquaintances? He asked softly. I didn't ask to sleep in the same bed as you. I tried not to stare at the region below his waist, but it was difficult to ignore. My nipples hardened and scraped against my bra, and my skin flushed with arousal. What the hell was happening? This was Alex, for Pete's sake. The Antichrist, the asshole, the robot. Except my body must have not gotten the memo because I was suddenly fantasizing about pushing him on the bed and finishing what my hand had inadvertently started earlier. No, get it together. You are not sleeping with Alex Volkov, now or ever. Anyway, I have to go. Volunteer. Bets, I stammered, barely making sense to myself. Thanks for letting me stay over. See you later. Bye. I
was
beat a
perfect.
hasty retreat down the stairs and ran home. I needed a cold shower ASAP. Face sadness status failed.
ASAP. Oh God. I love this. What the fuck?
You touched Alex Carrot? Bridget's eyes widened. What did it feel like? Shh. I glanced around to see if anyone was listening, but everyone was too busy with their duties to pay attention to us. Bridget had volunteered at the shelter long enough the staff didn't blink an eye at the princes in their midst, and we were always the only volunteers on the days Bridget came in, per the royal family's request. It's unbecoming for a princess to say the word carrot, especially in Bridget's poor, lightly accented voice, which sounded like it was made to discuss fancy galas and Harry Winston diamonds, not male genitalia. I've said worse things than carrot. As someone who'd been friends with her for almost 4 years, I could confirm. It still sounded wrong, though. So, she prompted, what did it feel like? I don't know what you want me to say. It felt like a penis. A big, hard, nope, not going there. Not now, not ever. Bridget and I were cleaning and sanitizing the cages at Wags and Whiskers, a pet rescue shelter located near campus. She was a huge animal lover and had been volunteering here since sophomore year. I accompanied her when I had time, as did Stella. Jules was allergic to cats, so she stayed away. But this shelter was Bridget's baby. She came twice a week without fail, much to Booth's consternation. I stifled a smile at the sight of the burly, red-headed bodyguard eyeing a parrot with suspicion. Despite its name Wags and Whiskers took in all sorts of animals, not just cats and dogs, and it had a small but robust bird section. Booth wasn't scared of birds per se, but he disliked them. He said they reminded him of giant flying rats. I mean, Bridget seemed disappointed by my uninteresting response. And the movie really didn't make him sad at all? Nope. I rolled up the newspaper from my cage and dumped it in the garbage can. Well, I fell asleep before the end of Marley and Me, but I doubt he cried or anything like that. He looked bored the entire time. Yeah, yet he continued watching both movies. Bridget raised a perfect blonde brow. Interesting. He didn't have a choice. I was already at his house. Please, this is Alex Volkov we're talking about. He'd throw someone out in a heartbeat if he wanted. True. I frowned and considered her words. He's nicer to me because I'm Josh's sister. Right, Bridget let out a soft laugh. Which phase is up next again? Ugh, the stupid Operation Emotion, or OE as I'd started calling it. It was the bane of my existence. Disgust. I had no clue what I'd do, but the face seemed easier. I had a feeling lots of things disgusted Alex. I'd pay good money to see that. Bridget tossed a laughing glance in Booth's direction. Are you all right, Booth? Yes, Your Highness. He grimaced when the parrot squawked. Oh yes, spank me, master. I am not your master, he told the bird. Go away. The parrot drew itself up and ruffled its feathers in indignation. Bridget and I burst into laughter. Apparently, the parrot's old owner had been quite active sexually and kinky. Its outburst today was tame compared to its previous tirades. I'll miss you, Bridget sighed. I hope my next bodyguard has a sense of humor. I stopped scrubbing the cage. Wait, what? Booth, you're leaving us? Booth scratched the back of his neck, looking sheepish. My wife is giving birth soon, so I'll be on paternity leave. Congrats, I smiled, even though I was pretty sad. He was Bridget's employee, but we'd accepted him as an honorary member of our group. He'd built us out of many dodgy situations in the past, and he gave pretty good boy advice too. We'll miss you, but it is so exciting. His face flushed with pleasure. Thank you, Miss Ava. He was unfailingly polite and insisted on calling me Miss, no matter how many times I told him he could use just my first name. We're throwing you a going away party when the time comes, Bridget said. You deserve it for putting up with me all these years. Booth's blush deepened. That's not necessary, Your Highness. Is a pleasure serving at your side. Bridget's eyes twinkled. See, this is why you deserve a going away party. You're the best. Before Booth could explode from how red he was turning, I added, we'll make it parrot themed. Bridget and I collapsed into laughter again, while the bodyguard shook his head with a half resigned, half embarrassed smile. It was almost enough to take my mind off Alex.
Oh my dear Lord. I love it. I love it.
It's a good book.
Yes. Are we continuing?
Sure.
Or you don't have time?
I have time.
Okay, right.
Marinique might come in, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Yes.
Hmm?
I don't know where she is.
We'll see.
Okay.
Her. Chapter 11. Ava. Operation Emotion. Face disgust. You already brought me welcome to the neighborhood cookies. Alex stared at the basket on the dining table. These aren't welcome cookies. I pushed the basket toward him. These are an experiment. I tried a new recipe and I wanted to see what you think. Oh God. He made an impatient noise. I don't have time for this. I have a conference call in half an hour. It won't take you half an hour to eat one cookie. Yes, I had vine angled?
I guess.
I have no idea. An invitation inside Alex's house again. This time for the second phase of OE. Neither Alex nor I mentioned his Morningwood situation a few days earlier. I didn't know about him, but I'd prefer if we forgot about that morning altogether. Fine. He peered at the confections with suspicion. What flavor? Oh god. Asparagus, raisins, and garlic brittle. What the fuck? Oh, ew. I'd picked the most disgusting ingredient make sure I could think of because this was, after all, faced disgust. Part of me felt bad because he'd been pretty nice the night we watched those movies and he'd cancelled his date for me. The other part was still a little annoyed by how he treated Owen, who was afraid to talk to me now because he feared Alex would pop up out of nowhere and kill him. I cleared my throat. It's an surprise. I tucked my hands beneath my thighs and jittered my foot all as Alex brought a cookie to his mouth. I almost dove for him and knocked it out of his hand, but I was curious how he would react. Would he spit it out? Gag? Throw the cookie at me and kick me out of the house? He chewed slowly, his face not betraying any emotion whatsoever. Well, what do you think? I injected fake bab in my voice. Good? You baked these. Not a question. Yep. You baked the red velvet cookies. And you baked these. My bottom lip disappeared between my teeth. Uh-huh. I couldn't look him in the eye. Not only was I terrible at lying, I was terrible at keeping a straight face. They're fine. My head snapped up. What? The cookies weren't fine. They were gross. I tried one myself and almost threw up. Asparagus and garlic brittle did not mix. Alex finished chewing, swallowed, and dusted the crumbs from his hands. They're fine, he repeated. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a call to take. He left me in the dining room, mouth agape. I picked up a cookie from the basket and nibbled on it, just in case. I gagged and ran into the kitchen to spit out the abomination, then rinsed my mouth with water from the sink to erase the lingering aftertaste. Alex must have messed up taste buds, because no normal person would have been able to swallow those cookies without at least grimacing. I came to the only conclusion that made sense. He is definitely a robot. Face disgust status, failed. Operation emotion, face happiness. What makes men happy? Corn stars. The question had plagued me in the lead up to the third phase of OA. Most of the things that would make men happy didn't apply to Alex or my situation. Money, he had plenty of it. Job satisfaction, nothing I could do about. Spending time with friends, Josh was Alex's only friend that I knew of, and I was pretty sure Alex did not enjoy most people's company. Sex, I wasn't having sex with him for an experiment, or any other reason, even if I was the teeniest bit curious about what it would be like. Love, lol, okay. Alex Volkov in love, sure. Jill suggested a blowjob, which fell under sex and which I vetoed. It took days of brainstorming, but I came up with something that might work. Perhaps it wouldn't make Alex's soul happy, but it'll make him relax and laugh a little. Maybe. I dislike sitting on the ground. He stared at the grass like it was a mud pit. It's uncomfortable and unsanitary. It's not. How is it unsanitary? I laid a blanket out and anchored it with the picnic basket so it wouldn't blow away. I'd convinced him to go for a picnic at Marion Hill Park. When I brought it up, he'd acted like I'd suddenly sprouted two heads, but he'd agreed. Now, if only he would stop acting like such a grouch, we could enjoy the last days of summer. The grass is probably soaked with dog urine, he said. I winced at the mental image. That's what the blanket is for. Sit. Alex heaved an aggravated sigh and said, looking unhappy about it the entire time. Undeterred, I unpacked the picnic basket, which contained summer pasta, my favorite, lobster rolls, Alex's favorite, according to Josh, assorted fruit, cheese and crackers, strawberry lemonade, and of course my red velvet cookies, which Alex seemed to like. This is so much better than being cooped up inside. I stretched my arms over my head, luxuriating in the sunshine. Fresh air, good food. Don't you feel happier already? No. There are children screaming everywhere, and a fly just landed in your salad. Damn flies. I quickly shooed it away. Why are we here, Ava? Alex's brow pinched. Jesus. I'm trying to help you relax, but you're making it damn hard. I threw my hands in the air, pretty now. Exasperated. Exasperated myself. You know that magical thing you did during movie night called a laugh? You did it once, you can do it again. Come on. I encouraged while he stared at me like I was crazy. You must have some warm, fuzzy feelings left inside of you somewhere. And that was the moment a dog from a nearby party wandered over and peed on Alex's shoes. Face happiness status failed. The fact that she called his laugh magical is kind of cute, too. And the fact that he goes with her whatever she wants him to do, it's so predictable already.
Hi. Company.
Hi.
Hola, Taras.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y tú?
Muy bien, gracias.
De nada.
You can join if you want.
Oh, what are you guys doing?
We're doing our read-along. Yeah.
Ooh, lovely.
We're reading Twisted Love.
Oh, damn. How far are you guys?
Chapter 10?
11.
Right now. You can sit here if you want.
Cool. Are we reading books that we've already all read? Or...
She hasn't.
I haven't.
Okay.
So it's my first reaction to this.
Where are we now? What part are we? What is happening?
They just had the picnic.
Okay. Damn, it's been a minute since I've read this book. Fantastic. Okay,
I will continue.
Okay.
Operation Emotion faced fear. We were stuck. Between my friends and I, none of us could think of a single thing that would inspire fear in Alex. At least none that weren't illegal or effed up. Jules, who was more comfortable with effed up than the rest of us, joked about pretending to rob him at knife point. At least I hope she was joking. Until Stella pointed out Alex would likely turn the situation around and kill me before he figured out it was a prank. I agreed. I was too young to die, so he scraped any ideas that would involve a physical confrontation. In the absence of any light bulb moments, I turned to my last resort, Josh. We video chatted every week, catching each other up on our lives, and right now he was telling me about his new friends with benefits. Seriously. Trust Josh to find women even in the middle of a tiny Central American village doing medical volunteer work. How is that possible? I demanded. There's less than 100 people in that village. I knew because I'd Googled it after Josh announced his placement. What can I say? I'm charmed. He drawled. Wherever I go, women follow. I think she was there before you, dickhead, and I hope you're not neglecting your work to make out with your new friend. The F? Tell me you're kidding. I waved my hand in the air. I am. Don't get your knickers in a twist. As much of a horn dog as my brother was, he took his work seriously. Whereas I had to bust my ass for my A's, he was one of those annoying people who didn't have to study much to excel in school. But he loved medical work and helping people. Even when we were young, he was the one who'd bandaged me up after I scraped my knee and looked up ways to help me with my nightmares while father threw himself into work. It was why I let Josh get away with his overprotectiveness. He could be annoying as hell, but he was still the best brother. I'd never tell him that, though. If his head inflated any more, he'd have trouble walking. By the way, I tried to sound casual as I fiddled with the sleeve of my shirt. Halloween's coming up, and I was thinking of pulling some pranks. Is there anything Alex is scared of? Clowns, spiders, heights. Suspicion crawled into Josh's face. Halloween is more than 2 months ago. Wait, Jesus. Yeah, but it sneaks up on you, and I want to prepare. Josh tapped his fingers on his thigh. Any time before I'm 80 would be great. Shut up. You know how hard it is to think of something Alex is scared of? I've known him for 8 years, and I've never once seen him afraid. My face fell. Well, shit. You could try the usual stuff people hate, but I doubt you'd get anywhere, Josh shrugged. One time we ran into a bear while hiking, and the effer didn't even blink. Just stood there, looking bored and annoyed, until the bear wandered off. Jump scares don't work either. Trust me, I've tried many times to prank him in the past and failed every time. Good to know. Perhaps this phase was a lost cause. If Josh, who knew Alex better than anyone, couldn't scare him, none of us could. The suspicion returned to Josh's eyes. Is this your idea or certain redheads? Mine? Bullshit, Josh scowled. Don't tell me she's still infatuated with Alex. He's a lost cause when it comes to relationships. Won't ever get into one. And he only fucks certain women. I was dying to ask who these certain women were, but I couldn't without sounding like I was interested in Alex, which I wasn't. I don't think Jules was ever infatuated with him, I said. She just thinks he's hot. Whatever. Josh raked a hand through his hair. Hey, I have an early morning tomorrow, so I'm gonna crash. Let me know if you succeed in pranking him and take a video of it for me. I could use a laugh. Sure. Concern replaced my earlier discomfort at hearing about Alex's certain women. I could chill. Josh was worn out despite his jokes and wise-ass comments. There were dark circles beneath his eyes and lines of tension bracketed his mouth. He'd backed off He backed off early our last few calls, and usually he could stay up all night talking about the dumbest stuff. Once he'd waxed poetic about his new sneakers until 3 in the morning. Get some rest. If I have to fly down to Central America to kick your ass, I'll be pissed. Ha! Josh snorted. You wish you could kick my ass. Night, Joshy. Don't call me that, he grumbled. Night. After I hung up, I took out my notebook and scratched out phase 3. Phase fear status on hold indefinitely.
What do you think?
Huh?
What do you think?
I like it. I love it. I want to read all of it. I hate this read along. I want to get.
Why?
Because I want to see the reaction.
Oh, okay.
I'm not allowed to read the rest of it. She's being mean.
I mean, you could be mean back.
How? I want to.
Give
How?
her ideas.
Tit for tat.
Tell me, Monique.
No.
Huh?
No.
What did you say?
No.
I'll text you. You read the next one, Veronique?
I mean, we have 2 minutes.
Oh, no. Oh.
It's
Yeah. Never mind. I keep forgetting there's time limits on these things.
Yeah.
Is it a
Sucks.
Zoom call? Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
You guys should have
We
done
just
Teams.
got a new one, though.
Microsoft.
We could, it wouldn't record. We tried. It wouldn't record.
Okay.
Yeah. Internet has so many options, and this sucks.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Can't you film it with your camera? Like, set up your camera?
No.
No.
No. That's too difficult. How am I going to connect with you then?
Just like this, but you film it with your camera.
But then this
So
is
instead of-
anyways. So that's...
Huh? You have to talk in your microphone. I can't hear you.
I said, but then this meeting stops anyway, so it doesn't work.
But Teams is unlimited, right?
True. But then the editing is too difficult, and I'm too lazy for that.
Just say that then.
I thought you meant with Zoom.
No. Because that has a time limit.
Yeah.
Duh.
Like,
Since when does that?
I don't know, it's 40 minutes. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, it's sad.
We'll find time this week to read some more.
Okay.
We got this.
Can I read one more chapter, please? Just about
No.
myself.
What are you reading on the side?
Everything? Wait, I have a book. I'll show you.
Be quick, it's a minute.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
And that's part 4. I've read the first 3 already.
Fantastic. Ooh.
Meow. I love it. They're so cool. And it's so mindfuckery that it calms my brain. I love it.
I love it. I'm here for that.
Yeah, right? I'll send them to you.
Perfect.
Do you guys have plans for today?
Nothing.
I have
The race.
assignments to do.
Oh.
I have a
That's
birthday
boring.
dinner to attend.
Oh, lovely. Are you going to watch the race? No, right? You
I
are?
am.
You
I
are?
am. They're not.
I'll text you.
Perfect.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.